For a team that won 3 championships in 5 years and was considered as a dynasty to some, a high lottery pick would probably be looked at as a luxury. But for a team that's come back to earth and has started to look vulnerable again, a top 3 selection might be the key to enjoy another championship run in the long term. The Dubs are no longer the same team they were a couple of years ago. Injuries and free agency have limited or taken away some of their best players, and a finals appearance doesn't seem like a safe bet any longer. But that doesn't mean they can't get back on track. That's the reason why the Golden State Warriors have been excited about their prized rookie, James Wiseman. He's a player that may not help them win a 4th ring immediately, but the team hopes he'll become the kind of player that will be able to help them go through another championship run. But since that may still be a few years away from taking place, let's start by taking a look at the things that already make Wiseman a special player. Before being selected with the 2nd pick in last year's draft, the big man had an unusual path to the NBA. He started by playing basketball at the high school level, and his skill set made him earn recognition as one of the most talented prospects in his class. However, despite his dominant play, a few issues were surrounding him off the court. In 2017, the big man played under former NBA player Penny Hardaway in the Nike Elite Youth Basketball League. But after transferring to the school where Hardaway was promoted to head coach, the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association attempted to rule him ineligible due to an athletic coaching link with Penny. And while he was cleared to play in the end, a similar incident would take place a few years later. After graduating from high school, Wiseman decided to join the Memphis Tigers, where Hardaway had also been hired as the head coach. However, his time there wouldn't last long. 3 games into his freshman season, the NCAA ruled James ineligible to play with the Tigers after finding out that Hardaway had provided financial help to his family so they could move to the city of Memphis in 2017. The episode ended up as a legal battle between Wiseman and the NCAA. But before things could scale any further, he decided to drop the case and eventually chose to leave Memphis to focus on his professional career and the upcoming draft. But unfortunately for him, it would be a long time before he could participate in draft night. The coronavirus pandemic forced the league to push all of its major events back, including the draft ceremony. So what should have been a 7-month wait turned into more than a year without playing organized basketball. As a result, Wiseman was considered a mystery for most scouts heading into the draft. While the pandemic abbreviated the seasons of all college players, most of them were able to play until March and had time to showcase their skills in a competitive environment. But that wasn't James's case. His playing sample was too short to make any objective conclusions. But even for those who were enthusiastic about his natural talent, the fact that he spent almost an entire year without playing basketball was a cause for concern. However, he didn't waste those months away, and when the time for the draft interviews came around, he showed the things he'd been working on. Since he wanted to emulate the game of players like Anthony Davis, he spent most of his time doing drills with the ball that would allow him to be more versatile with his game. So when Steve Kerr was in front of him for the first time, asking him to do different drills during a workout, he impressed everyone. However, there was no guarantee the Warriors would choose him or anyone else during draft night. Golden State had spent months talking about making the right decision with the 2nd pick, and that meant that if they were presented with an appropriate trade offer, they would consider moving their pick. But when draft night came around, nobody made an offer that convinced them to trade their pick. So when it was their turn to call a name, they settled for Wiseman. The center didn't necessarily look like a natural option at first, considering the Warriors hadn't given a large role to traditional centers in the last few years, and there were a few other prospects who could have made an intriguing fit next to Steph Curry and company. But the idea of drafting him also meant the team would count with an option they didn't have in the past. Though JaVale McGee and Andrew Bogut were excellent role players, they weren't elite players at their position and were often out of games when it mattered the most. And despite being a rookie, so far, James has shown the potential to be better than that. His debut was held back because of health issues, making him unable to return to the court for training camp and preseason games. In other words, his basketball absence extended to over a year, making teammates and coaches believe he'd have a slow start. However, as soon as he was allowed to practice, he showed that wouldn't be the case. According to Kerr and most of his teammates, Wiseman impressed everyone during his first few practice sessions. Steve was amazed by his ability to shoot the three-pointer, something the coaching staff will try to keep developing throughout the season. But his teammates also praised his energy and work ethic, with Steph Curry comparing him to a puppy out of a cage and Draymond Green saying he believed the rookie had all-star potential. But even then, everyone made sure to temper the expectations regarding the young center. While Kerr told the media James would be the starting center in the future, he also emphasized that he'd spent 13 months without playing organized basketball. Therefore, it would take time for him to show his full potential, especially in year one. Still, that didn't stop him from leaving an early impression about his game early into the season. His first 2 games drew the attention of the basketball world as he was able to put up solid numbers. Of course, in both instances, most of his minutes came during garbage time, as the Warriors were out of the game early. But even though he went against end-of-the-bench players, the fact he was able to play that well after so much time pleased everyone. And though his numbers have gone down a little bit since those 2 games, he's still been able to make a positive impact on the team, and wins have started to come more often as everyone has started to develop chemistry with one another. That has helped him in the Rookie of the Year race, as odds makers see him as the favorite to earn the award once the season's over. While his averages haven't been outstanding so far, the truth is that his whole class has been struggling with the same issues. Usually, a few rookies would have had an impressive performance or two this early into the season, but circumstances have limited most players in this year's class. Teams know that most rookies spend a lot of time without playing and have decided to bring them out slowly as a result. Few rookies have been given a starting spot to start their careers, and even those prospects have received a limited role, regardless of whether they play for a good team or a bad one. And that makes Wiseman's impact even more impressive. He was supposed to have one of the slowest starts among his peers, yet he's been performing like one of the best rookies during the first few weeks of the season. And while he's shown a few areas where he needs to improve, he's also shown the ways he can help his team. Throughout 7 games, James has been at his best close to the hoop. Despite making only 46% of his field goal attempts, he makes 77% of the shots he makes within 3 feet from the basket. That's also where he's taken most of his shots, and while the rest of his attempts with the three-point line haven't been going in a lot, he's been solid from behind the line, making 41% of his attempts from long range. His athleticism and ball handling have also been on full display during the first few weeks of the season. Despite being 7 feet tall, the center has shown the ability to run the floor like a guard. A few times already, Wiseman has looked like Giannis Antetokounmpo by grabbing a rebound and immediately going into transition. And what's more impressive is that he's also been able to finish those attacks either by outrunning the defense or maneuvering through it. So despite not being the main offensive option on the team, he can provide the Warriors with an additional weapon. But he's not a one-way player either. Though his game needs a lot of work on the defensive end, his length and athleticism allow him to easily block shots. As a result, he can disrupt the play on one end of the court and initiate the offense by running to the opposing basket before the defense is set. That style of play will do wonders when he starts playing more minutes along with Curry and eventually with Klay Thompson. His work on the pick and roll will also turn into a useful weapon, something we've already been able to see from time to time. So, while there's no denying that Wiseman will have a bigger impact in the future, the fact he's already making winning plays is an encouraging sign for the Warriors. And the best part, as Green put it, is that he doesn't even know what he's doing. James's game is still raw and needs lots of work to reach his full potential, but he has the talent and the tools to be a successful player. And even better, he has the appropriate mindset to eventually turn into a star. Despite playing better than expected so far, he's been able to keep focused on the ultimate goal, winning games. That has helped him to make his team better from the moment he stepped into the court, and will also help him to become the best version of himself. All in all, the idea of drafting a rookie with star potential was always to start building for the future. Wiseman is not expected to turn into an elite player until a few years, and until that moment arrives, the Warriors will focus on making sure he learns how to play winning basketball. But the truth is, he may be closer to becoming an impact player than everyone expected. Despite being removed from the court for over a year and not having any kind of professional experience, the center has enjoyed a smooth transition to the NBA, and it may not end up being so long before we start seeing the kind of player he can be. But now, do you believe Wiseman will end up becoming a star for the Warriors, or is it too early to talk about his potential in the league? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to like it and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.